I'd like to welcome everybody to today's webinar. My name is Vanessa Barnes and I'm the Head of Partnership and Growth within the Restaurant and Catering Australia. And today's webinar is on the wage rate reviews, which were released as of July 1, 2025. We have a legal disclaimer here just for everybody's information, just to let you know that today's webinar is not legal advice. It's general in nature. I'm just going to pop Sue onto mute. There you go. So the advice today that we're going to run through, it isn't legal advice. It's general in nature. And if you require more information, you are welcome to reach out to the IR team within the Restaurant and Catering Association, which is an in-house service, and it's specifically and exclusive to our members. I'm going to hand over now. So I think I introduced myself. I'm really bad at introducing myself, everybody. I just like to get on with the task at hand. But my name is Vanessa Barnes. I have had many years of experience in the food service industry, and it is a great, it's lovely to be able to go through this slide deck with you today. And I'm going to introduce my colleague, Chris. Chris heads up the IR department within the Restaurant and Catering Australia. And some of you may have already have had some dealings with Chris. But Chris, you would be very familiar with this slide as well. And I'm just going to run through it. But if you would like to add any comments or so forth, please feel free. But as a member, I'm not too sure if everyone is aware, but you do have access to our 2024 Restaurant and Catering Benchmarking report. And within the report, it's actually a really good read. It has a lot of information around the different sectors of the industry, and it does set you up understanding the different fundamentals within the business that you're running. So it's interesting that one of the insights that we found from the report is that 44% of our members have between 0 and 15 employees, which means that they are a small business. Anything above that moves into a different category. And as with previous years, wages are reported to be the highest direct expense within the business. And I don't think that would come as any big surprise to any of you that are running your own venue. And as the leading industry association, we recognise that the ongoing support for the workplace and industrial relations matter, which will remain and we do remain a strong advocate for our members. The agenda for today is we're going to run through the summary of the recent Fair Work Commission decision and the decision to raise the minimum wage. We're going to also speak about the payroll updates, the best practices around communication with staff, compliance risk management, wage tables and review. We're going to deliver a case study, which you're all going to really love. It's serious, but it's comical at the same time. We've got an employment overview, and we've also got the Fair Work Ombudsman's resources. So I'm going to introduce Chris now just to speak about the Fair Work Commission decision. He's our, as I said, he's our in-house IR specialist, and he is the guru of all knowledge. And if you do need to use Restaurant and Catering as your first point of call when it comes to any IR matters, you can do that through the website. We have an IR button up in the right hand side that you can click on and register to make time to meet up with Chris. But Chris, I'd really like to introduce you to be able to deliver this information, please.
Thank you so much, Vanessa, and thank you to everyone who's going to take time to listen to not only our presentation but understand the value of what this presentation means to your business, and more importantly, not just now but in the future. The annual wage review that takes place with the Fair Work Commission is essentially a long decision that's provided by the full bench of the Commission, taking into account a number of different things that I'll talk about in a moment. The crux of this decision for this year was an increase of 3.5%, taking the minimum wage per week to $948 or $24.95 an hour. And that's something that has been applied to all of the modern awards, all 121 of those modern awards. Now, what's important to note at this point is it's not just what the wage tables look like and whether or not if you're on a particular level or a grade and you need to increase something by 3.5%. It's where you use a particular award. And in this instance, let's say it's the Restaurant Industry Award and the different types of allowances that you may have. So for an example, a meal allowance has gone up from $16.30 to $16.73. Next slide, please, Vanessa. Thank you.
So now we have the Fair Work Commission decision, and this area, I hope that you find this information really useful because Chris does explain it in a way that I feel that businesses will be able to relate to really well. So thank you, Chris.
You're most kind. Thank you. I, alongside with our CEO, wrote the submission for the Restaurant Catering Association to the Fair Work Commission. And we were one of only 27 of those initial submissions that were part of the decision or the considerations for the decision. But also our CEO, Suresh, was one of only seven who at the consultations at the end of May was also present to advocate on behalf of our members and our industry based on our submission. And our submission really said there should be a wage increase of no more than 2.5%, taking into consideration a number of factors, and the most prominent of all of the factors that you may have heard in the news recently or in media reports still falls to things like productivity. And last year and this year, again, we articulated that while wages inevitably in some consideration will go up, the value of that may be substantially different because the productivity of our industry and things that we identified were that even where you've got no shortage of labour or you've got people who are entering into our industry, considerations like productivity means that there's additional time that people need to spend on doing things in order for the same kind of output to occur. And when the Commission in their deliberation, they look at a number of different factors, and some of the main ones that I'd like to mention are that they do look at the economic conditions, they do look at labour market, they look at business considerations, certainly they look at living standards and those of the low paid. Gender equality in the last couple of years has been something that is much more prominent and new according to the mandates that they've been provided, and job security. So ultimately, the main touch points are not just for our industry, they're for all industries. And where in our industry, some of them may highlight that we are less productive and we might have less opportunities for certain things to take place. Sadly, with the 3.5% as opposed to say 2.5%, there's a number of factors out there that relate to other industries as well. And so the Commission must take a broad approach, although we have very, very clearly articulated our views and very clearly the Commission has taken them into consideration. Next.
Thanks, Chris. And I was going to also add, if anybody would like to read that full submission, it is also available on the R&CA website. Payroll updates. Chris, I'm going to have you work us through these points, please.
Absolutely. Now, a question that often comes up when I speak with members is, at what point do I need to update what I pay. And we generally have quite a huge rush towards the end of June. Everyone's saying, when are the wage tables coming out? I need to organize my pay run. While the new wage rates are effective from the 1st of July, they are effective from the first pay period on or after the 1st of July. And what that means is, by way of an example, let's say that the 1st of July was a Tuesday. A business pays their employees on a weekly basis and they start that pay run on a Monday. Now, the next pay period that would be on or after 1st of July will actually be next Monday, being the 7th of July. That means that the new wage rates would come into effect from next Monday and that very first pay run. And that means that if you'd paid your employees for this week on Monday, well, that takes care of that. You can still use the old rates. Now, take into consideration that where you're paying your employees, there could be an issue with the timing. So if there's any verification of things, please give me a call. Please reach out. Generally speaking, though, the example put forward is consistent with the example of the Ombudsman. The other main area that I think everyone's probably heard of more recently as well are the superannuation changes, particularly that superannuation has gone up from 11.5% to 12%. Now, we're not going to go into other things about superannuation today, but it's important to know that from the 1st of July, the rate clearly has gone up from 11.5% to 12%. The key element to that, though, is if you have employees who are on a particular wage and it says it's inclusive of superannuation, it's likely that you would need to revisit that and see what it looks like for their take-home pay. And that take-home pay may end up being less than before because the superannuation has gone up.
The all-important factor within a business is the best practices around communicating with your team or with your staff. Chris, can you go through these two examples on best practices of communication, please?
Absolutely, thank you. Anything that relates to how your staff are paid, whether it's their hours, whether it's their rate of pay, rosters and those kind of things, it's always best practice to have an open discussion, to have a consultation. Where the formalities of communicating with your staff, if there is going to be a variation to what they're going to have paid to them, and that might be something relating to a contract, well, it's probably best to have some form of documentation to support what those changes are. Where it relies upon payment directly from the award, and let's again look at the Restaurant Industry Award or even the Hospitality Industry General Award, the rates that are there are going to be reflected in the payments received for the hours worked. They will then be recorded on a payslip, and the important part is that the payslips must record the correct type of work. For instance, if it's an ordinary hour of work compared to if it's overtime, or there may be a penalty rate that's applied. Now, speaking to members, while it appears that you would need to ordinarily adjust your penalty rates, some members where they are already paying higher than, for instance, the ordinary penalty rates have asked, do I need to adjust them? They can be based on individual circumstances. Generally, though, if you're sticking directly to the modern award, then naturally, if it goes up by 3.5%, then if you're a casual and you're working on a particular day of the weekend and you have to pay 1.5, 1.25, 1.75, etc., that's going to be on top of that as well.
Thank you. So now can you go through for us some of the impacts on an operation, please?
Absolutely. Thank you. Profit margins, when I speak with members, and many of you would know that there's been historically some formula, and some businesses work towards particular profit margins and targets. Wages inevitably are up there, and as we've seen with our own benchmarking report, remain to be the highest direct expense. In which case, understanding how you're rostering and understanding how you can have particular types of wages work for your business will directly affect your profit, especially if there are going to be different types of wages for penalty rates and so on and so forth. And that's where clearly there are influences in pricing and menu costs. So I'm aware that it's almost industry standard in most places, in most days, that there's a loaded amount for a penalty for public holidays, and therefore there's an additional charge there, and so on and so forth. Or alternatively, it may just be built into what a menu looks like on an ongoing basis. Where you've got rostering and possible role adjustments, they're all the principles that clearly bring on board whether or not you're going to be there at a particular time and the cost of that time compared to the income that's brought in, and the direct result of the wages that you're going to apply in order to have a particular setting. Let's say it's a public holiday. Are you going to have, full-time staff? Are they going to have a day off in lieu thereafter? Are they getting paid penalty rates? Are they getting paid something as part of an annualized salary, and so on and so forth? So there's a lot of considerations when you're rostering staff to have the right kind of people for the right reasons. And that clearly is going to affect not only your profit. One of the benefits, though, would be that you may be able to have, in long term, investment in your other staff and upskilling, which allows your business to, and I'll use this term probably a little bit more broadly, to not look at the cost of wages alone, but rather with productivity measures, the value of that. And so in some instances, you may pay a little bit more for wages. If you are with, and I'm sure there's many of you out there who go, wow, if only I could have so many of this particular staff member who are simply outstanding. They're the kind of X factors that some businesses, by going through that training and upskilling, would be able to provide separately. No doubt there's going to be a high level of demand on the business to make sure you've got everything right. Also, by looking at the business as a holistic kind of unit where everyone's there for the right reasons, having the right level of pay, looking after your staff, those things in the long run will not only impact on the morale, the engagement, and the retention. It means that you don't have to lose employees. You don't have to spend a lot of time and effort trying to find good staff, go through the induction process, and so on and so on. And they tend to be costs that businesses don't look at. And so the impacts on operations can be quite dire if you don't have that right mix.
When we were putting this slide deck together, Chris, and I was going back over it in preparation for this webinar, and it had in there the extra training and the upskilling needs. I'm not too sure if everybody on this call is aware or not, but the R&CA have also just implemented 50 odd training courses that are available for members as part of your membership that you can use for your staff to be able to uptrain them, upskill them as well. So there's a really handy little resource there available for you. Next slide. Now, Chris, rosters and annual reconciliation. There's a little bit of a few important topic points here. If you would like to go through each one of them for us, please.
Absolutely, thank you. touching on the impacts of businesses, and when you look at broadly where you've got employees who have an annualized wage arrangement, it's important for businesses to always have the right documentation. And by that, what I mean is to make sure that they've got the right types of start and finish times when they're looking at rosters, where breaks are in there, things that allow in 5 years' time, if someone was to come knocking on the door, you could at least turn around and say, this is what it looks like to demonstrate this kind of employment. They were there at 9, they finished at 5, they had a half an hour break at 1. They worked on this particular day, there was more overtime, and so on and so forth, because they then formed the foundations of the record keeping for the rosters, for the payment, and they are the keys to having the annual reconciliations and determining whether or not employees have been paid correctly, or there may be a shortfall. And where businesses and employers that I've spoken with struggle is when they don't have enough of the basics in place that 12 months down the track, whether it's their accountant, bookkeeper, or even themselves, it becomes very difficult, overwhelming. I think ultimately, if you can start looking at things on a monthly basis and understand whether or not a person at a particular point was supposed to be paid according to the award X, you paid them Y, and you keep going with that on a regular basis. It's not only best practice to look at how your business is functioning and the greatest direct expense, it also gives you peace of mind down the track to know that you've not underpaid someone, and in 12 months' time, if you've maybe missed a mark and you're stuck in a situation where you're potentially going to have to pay them some more. And with the annual wage increase of 3.5%, if you have an annualized wage arrangement, you may need to adjust some figures, because if it is going off the award and it must be at the very least 25% or more, and there's a number of features there, then you may actually need to start paying your staff more from the 1st of July. If you've got any questions about that, please reach out. We can go through it and let's see whether or not that applies to you.
Sorry, I was a bit trigger
No,
happy there.
that's fine. We're there. We're at the case study.
So now we have the case study, and I know this is a really serious matter, and we don't downplay that at all, but there never hurts to have a little bit of fun in the process as well. So Chris, can you please present your case study using Mr. Bolognese?
Oh, absolutely. Giorgio Bolognese. Inspired by years of watching cooking shows on TV, has then gone ahead, completed an apprenticeship. Now they're employed as a commis chef. And what that means under the Restaurant Industry Award is that they're a level 4, where it says that they are a cook grade 3 is in the classifications, and it's clear. It says you're a commis chef who's gone ahead and done these types of things by way of training and qualifications. For simplicity, Giorgio is full-time, and let's say the hours are ordinary Monday to Friday. Next slide, please. What's important to note is where you look at grades and you look at levels, they can be different. And here, where you look at grades, it's referring to the duties and responsibilities of the employee, whereas levels refer to the pay. Next slide, please. One of the benefits of the Fair Work Ombudsman's website is that they have a great suite of interactive tools. And one of those is to assist with the Restaurant Industry Award. And so the QR code there will take you to the direct link. And one of those interactive tools, which we'll look at in a moment, will bring about things relating to pay, hours of work, allowances, leave, termination, and it puts it in a really simple, straightforward, but also in a way that doesn't look like the award where you need to look at black and white, up and down, and try to find things. It consolidates it, it simplifies it, and it brings it all together. Next slide, please.
And this image that you can see here on the screen, that is a snapshot of exactly what is on the Fair Work Ombudsman's website. So that just shows you the interactive flow from the page. And has everyone been able to get a photo of that QR code? We will provide you with a recording of this session as well.
So when we look at employment status, and this is actually, as Vanessa said, from that website, you can go in there and click full-time. Once you go through and you can click through these different levels, level 4, Giorgio, it shows that it's not just someone who is a cook grade 3. Someone who's paid level 4 is also a food and beverage attendant grade 4. It's clerical grade 3, store person grade 3. Now, often it's difficult to determine grades and determine levels. Where possible, we can assist. Where it might be something that is a little bit tricky, it may lead to legal advice, especially if you're looking to hire someone of a particular qualification or a particular standing, and it may be something that relates to a contract or even sponsorship. But give me a call and let's see what we can do first. Next slide, please. Thank you. With pay rates, one of the key elements that tends to be overlooked, and it's one of those things that often arise in inquiries, are pay rates of juniors who serve alcohol. Now, what that means is somebody is a liquor service employee, and that person, according to the Restaurant Award, in this instance, means a person who's employed to sell or dispense liquor. And while it says in bars, bottle departments, or shops, and includes a cellar employee, the coverage of the award is certainly for cafes, restaurants, and other establishments. Now, generally, you would have all of your staff, if you've got a liquor license, be R&CA compliant. However, anyone clearly who is going to be in the position of a liquor service employee must have an R&CA, regardless of your state. And if those who are with an R&CA and employed as a liquor service employee, and let's say they're 18 years, then they must be paid as an adult. So the juniors must be paid as an adult when they are employed as a liquor service employee. And what that means in some instances is that they may, for that entire shift, and let's say they're a casual, not actually serve alcohol at all. But the engagement with that employee demonstrates that they could at any point in time be called upon to take an order, to take something to a table, pour a drink, and so on. So if there's any questions about that, again, please do reach out and let's see what we can do.
The R&CA Industrial Relations Support, Chris, if you would like to just go through what we offer for our members in terms of the in-house service.
Certainly, thank you. First and foremost, we are specialists, again, in that restaurant industry award. We are specialists in hospitality. And what that really means is that from the top down, we are engaged with the Ombudsman, with the Fair Work Commissioners. We are engaged at the highest levels. And at the same time, this is not a call center service. This is a personalized, bespoke service. Our members, if you contact us, chances are you're going to speak with me if you go and you call a call center, you'll see that this is not a call center. This is a membership service. It's confidential, it's private, it relates to looking for an outcome for you. And ultimately, the main outcome we're looking for is to support your business. And where possible, that means that we might, and Vanessa may speak to this separately, refer things to our partners. And the number of inquiries that come to me, there are some who actually then go, well, by the way, I need something with electricity or whatever the case is. The most important is we're here to try to help you as much as we can. It's not a call center. And frankly, as specialists, it's part of the services we offer, and it's supported by our resources that are on our website, where we've got the best, and arguably everyone who becomes a member of ours wants year in, year out wage tables. We've got contracts there that are prepared by law firms. We've got internal business policies provided by law firms. We've got tools and support materials from the Ombudsman, and you have legally qualified to be able to assist with your understanding of things. And if we can't assist you, we'll certainly find someone in our referral network to be able to try to do that.
And I was going to add in there as well, Chris, around the advocacy piece as well. The more that our members speak to us, the more we understand the challenges that are facing the industry and their businesses. And we have a direct link back into the Ombudsman or into different sectors, including government, where we can raise these topics. Would that be right, Chris?
Absolutely. And I'm the person who, when speaking to members, will sit in meetings with the Ombudsman and the commissioners and others in advocacy. And it may be the difference between, at that time when there's a discussion that takes place, saying, well, by the way, if you're interested in understanding what our members are saying, this is actually what they're saying. And I'm in a position to make a very strong statement because that member has spoken directly with me. And then I have spoken directly with someone who we are advocating on behalf of our members for. And that's very unique because I don't know any other organization where there is no structure that separates and arguably confuses and perhaps even conflates at times what members are saying or get it wrong. It's very straightforward.
Great, thank you. And we just have now this QR code here will take you to our R&CA website. And if you are a member, you can just log in here. Around this time of year, when we have the awards happening and we have a lot of traffic and activity happening on the website, members forget what their login details are. You use the email that you've actually registered with the R&CA with. If you've forgotten your password, it doesn't matter. You just hit reset password and you can then you'll get an email and you reset your password and then you log back into the website. If you get stuck, you can let us know. There's an inquiry link, and we can guide you through accessing the members portal of the website. But on that members portal, there's a whole library of resources available to you. As I said before, you've got the online courses, you've got the wage tables, you've got sample templates for roles within your business, as well as a whole heap of other resources that have been specifically created for the hospitality industry. So if there's anything more that we can assist or support you with, as Chris said, jump onto the website, lodge an inquiry with us. We aren't going to take questions during today's session purely because every business is so different. So we're more than happy to have each of you reach out to us. But I'd like to thank Chris for your time in going through today's presentation. It was so clear, and I do hope that everybody online has been able to get a better understanding of what the wage table looks like and where to be able to get more information. And the wage tables are actually, like I said, available on the R&CA member portal. So Chris, thank you.
Thank you very much, Vanessa, and thank you to everyone for joining and being a member and our ongoing support.
Yes, thank you, everybody. It's greatly appreciated. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.